me reviewing someone else reviewing a piece of media, because, you know, I kind of want to be original, and, you know, a bunch of people are reviewing this thing because it just came out, and, you know, if I review someone else's review instead of reviewing the original property, it's kind of original, you know? I guess I should begin by talking about who and what these two entities I'm talking about are. PKRussl is a YouTube reviewer of media that's been around for a couple years now, and is known mostly for his big video debunking Pentagrin in the Spock Theory drama from about 2 years ago. I have major respect for the guy, even if I don't agree with him. He seems to have a stable head on his shoulders and ready to take criticism. So PK, if you're watching this, I just wanted to let you know that I'm not just a hater. Please, watch the video like I watched yours. Come on, man. The second entity is an independently created web show called Hazbin Hotel. Basically, the premise is the Princess of Hell tries to reform wayward souls at a hotel of rehabilitation, ending in them hopefully going to heaven. It's been in production for the past 2 years or so by its creator Vivziepop and several animators who were hired to help. With this pilot episode, Vivzi and co are hoping to greenlight a series on an adult network to get the cogs rolling. Some people have had a mixed reception to it online. I have some conflicting thoughts about parts of the episode myself, but in general it's positively received, and I thought it was a good premise if nothing else, and definitely an impressive effort for a pilot. I've never really felt any anger towards a PKRussl video. I really like the guy in most of his content, I gotta reiterate. He makes fun animation meme reviews and can be very informative on serious topics sometimes. Other times, he kinda walks a fine line between good and bad criticism. The guy makes well thought out stuff when he puts his mind to it, but when he rushes a video out as fast as he can, a few beats are sometimes missing. Now, I'm not saying PK rushed this video just because it's a hot topic to talk about Hazbin Hotel right now, but you do have to admit, if you make a post asking what Hazbin Hotel is on the 28th, then on the 29th you say you're trying to upload the video, but you can't because of a copyright strike, then the day after that you upload it and it's 30 minutes long, that might be just a little bit fast to be uploading that. I mean, when you have your opinion about something after watching it, you have your opinion about it, but it seems like you kind of made this video right after watching it for the first time instead of letting it sink in and maybe thinking about it a bit more. I'm not saying you didn't think at all, but it seems like you could have put a little bit more time into maybe, I don't know, rereading your script if you had one. Anyway, I tried to come in with an open mind. I saw the pilot and thought in general it was pretty good. Some of the humor was better than others, but in general, the animation was well done, the character designs were incredibly unique, personalities really popped off the screen, there was some good world building, and the lead was pretty lovable. I could also see how many might not like it in certain aspects, but when I saw this PK video, I didn't know what it was at first, but little sparks started going off in my head. Just tiny ones, and the sparks kinda led to me having a full head of fire by the end. Don't mistake me for some huge Hazbin Hotel fan. I only knew about it around the release of the pilot, but PK's video wasn't very well made. I'm not necessarily gonna be hating on PK for his video, but it definitely needed a bit of a touch added to it, you know, just a little look over first. I guess on with the video then. PKRussl's video on Hazbin Hotel is not great, review, or something like that. Maybe I'll be able to think of something more creative than a variation on his title. I'm just a little bit lazy.
I'm alive! I'm alive!
Just to be unimmersed faster than literally anything else I've ever watched with the most cliche children's cartoon joke. A character survives something dangerous, celebrates surviving, and is then made not alive. That's not the only joke of this type.
Tell the missus I said hi. Schnuckums. Back up.
The guy's car goes and crashes. He's presumed not alive. Then he goes over and gets some angel dust. Someone takes it. And then literally the exact same joke. Gets smashed by a boulder and is committed not alive.
Oh my god! My drugs!
Funny joke, oh my god. Drugs, oh my god! We had the exact same joke literally 3 times in a row there.
So in this section, PK claims that the same joke happens 3 times, like it's repeated, when obviously it is not. The first joke is a character finds out they're alive, celebrates, and is run over as a joke. Kind of cliche, but it sets the tone for the mood of hell, that being tons of people just sorta die randomly. I mean, it's okay, man, that happens every day, it's fine. Brian, look out. The next two jokes somewhat reinforce that mood, the second being a guy drives off angrily and presumably crashes his car by the sound effect as the other character looks on with boredom. This is a quick gag that shows people don't care about death in hell, and it's really common. The third joke isn't even about the death itself. A guy steals this character's drugs he got out of a vending machine and is crushed by a boulder, and then the character mourns how his drugs were crushed with the guy. The gag isn't even that the guy was crushed, it's how the other character didn't even notice and only cares about his drugs. Is it edgy? I mean, I guess you could kinda see it as that way, but is it the same joke? Hell no. In Looney Tunes, Wile E. Coyote fails in tons of different ways to catch Roadrunner, usually leading to his own harm, but that doesn't mean every joke is the same. Execution is the word of the day, folks. It means that you can tell a joke that's somewhat similar, but if you do it in a different way or a different style or a different tone, then it can have a different outcome. Yada yada. PK says if people laugh at the juvenile humor, as he puts it in the show, it explains why everyone handles drama so bad. He basically says that the community mostly acts like children, and I'm not gonna say that they don't, but that seems like a bit of a generalization for the whole community, not to mention you can laugh at an immature joke and still be mature. That's not a determining factor, PK. I feel like it's a little bit of a sad life you live if you can't laugh at a bit of immature adult humor every once in a while.
Hazbin Hotel is absolutely riddled with juvenile humor that you'd expect in a cartoon made for children, which would normally be fine, except this show is an adult show with adult humor, specifically aimed at older audiences, as the description of the video itself says. This juxtaposition of juvenile humor and adult humor in the same cartoon is frankly just uncomfortable. The adult jokes fall behind even Family Guy in terms of how juvenile the jokes are. And Family Guy is as basic and face value as it gets when it comes to adult humor.
I can understand not liking the juvenile humor in the show, even if it is intentional sometimes, but saying it never has any depth is kinda stretching. Like, here's a clip you played just calling it juvenile in full context.
Daddy? Son?
You see, the joke isn't that he said, "Oh, harder, daddy." It's that after he said that, the recipient gave a funny, unexpected line, and he responded accordingly. Also, not every good adult cartoon needs to have tons of complex humor throughout. I would have hoped I wouldn't need to explain this, but Aqua Teen Hunger Force, early Family Guy, Rick and Morty, The Simpsons, and so on make the same kind of jokes as Hazbin Hotel in different ways, and don't need to be complex to be humorous.
Adult jokes are supposed to be clever. It's supposed to require a little bit of brain power, a little bit of thinking to understand the joke. But the adult jokes in Hazbin Hotel just aren't clever.
It's Griffin. Hey, I love your act. Nice melons. Hey, listen, pal.
Peter, I'm holding melons.
Oh, and her Hooters ain't bad either. Now, hang on a second there.
Peter, I'm holding Hooters.
Oh, sorry. No problem. Your wife's hot.
Sorry, not everyone has a 240 IQ like you.
Next, a spaceship-type vehicle is shown destroying the city. We're taken inside the ship and introduced to this way overacted voice-acting mess.
Those other cowardly sinners dare not hinder my territorial takeover. A wise decision. The power of my machines are unmatched. No other demon can compare to the likes of I.
Whoever did the voice acting for this character overacted the lines so much to the point where it's, for lack of a better word, cringy and frankly painful to watch and listen to. Also, just a little side note, but if you're someone who invalidates my entire review just because I called something cringy, then you're a dumbass.
Sorry if I sound a little condescending, but I find this point dumb as hell. Look at this character. He is supposed to be incredibly over the top. He acts incredibly over the top. He thinks he's so amazing and powerful and well-dressed. The voice matches him well and goes along with his design. Back to Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Meatwad and Master Shake are ridiculous characters. Master Shake thinks of himself like an immortal god and has a massive ego. Only Dana Schneider could provide a voice boisterous and hilarious enough for this character.
Oh, don't do it. Oh, come on. And now it's changed. The changeling.
What was that?
What do you think it was?
If you called him cringy for having a dumb kind of voice, I think I would laugh.
If you watch for the adult humor, you have to suffer through the juvenile nature of everything else in the show. If you watch because it's a cartoon and you're 12 years old, you will definitely enjoy the juvenile nature of the show, but the adult jokes will not only confuse you, but will scar you for life, because children shouldn't be exposed to the level of adult humor that exists in Hazbin Hotel. And I'm not saying that that's any fault of the creators, but I find it so strange that a show geared towards older audiences is just so immature in nature, to the point where if this was shown on Nickelodeon in a family's home, and the parent isn't paying attention too much, they probably wouldn't realize it's any different from any other cartoon on Nickelodeon, in terms of how it sounds at least, with the thousands of sound effects overacted voice acting, and simple face value basic humor.
Attention adult cartoon creators, you are no longer allowed to make jokes that are incredibly juvenile or purposefully stupid. Rick and Morty, I'm fucking coming for you. You're complaining that a show looks and acts too much like a children's show, and if parents weren't watching closely, their kids might get scarred for it. I think every kid who's accidentally watched Fox or Comedy Central or Cartoon Network After Hours in the past 15 years has had that experience. There's this blog called Adult Swim, and on that they play shows that aren't well suited for kids, but could be seen as such without looking closely. C-Lab 2021, Harvey Birdman Attorney at Law, The Venture Bros, Bob's Burgers, I could really go on. And in this hypothetical situation, I don't think Nickelodeon would air this to begin with, so calm down, man.
After some time, we're introduced to yet another new character who breaks through the glass, threatening to smash this guy's ship. Then it cuts to a news report where we are introduced to 2 more characters. So we're 5 minutes in, including the title sequence, and we've already been introduced to 5 characters. That's way too much. That's way too many characters for that period of time. Next, we're introduced to another 2 characters. We are now 5 minutes and 48 seconds in, and we've been introduced to 7 characters.
PK, you need to remember, this is the pilot to a TV series. A lot of characters are going to be introduced in the first episode. Even at that, 4 of the 7 shown were minor characters in the overall story. They weren't given full backstories and immediately cut away from to another character. This pilot is supposed to introduce the main forces in the episode. Forces we'll get to know more throughout the rest of it and in the possible future. I mean, look at Gravity Falls' first episode, and that in the first 4 minutes rather than the first 5, we're introduced to Grunkle Stan, Dipper, Mabel, Seuss, and Wendy, along with the main villain of the episode. That's 6 characters in a minute less than it took Hazbin Hotel. So yeah, that's sort of a thing in the first episode. You introduce the main characters in the story. PK goes on a tangent to talk about the Vivzy Pop allegations of her being a myriad of terrible things, all of which are false by the way. Cancel culture strikes again, and I'm glad he cleared it up, but this may have been suited better for near the end of the video. It kind of breaks up the flow.
I have a dream, I'm here to tell about a wonderful, fantastic new hotel.
And then she sings a song for some reason. There goes any interest I had left in the show. Overused trope alert! Overused trope alert! She sings and puts on an absolutely huge performance all about her idea, and then at the end of the performance, what does everyone do? And then everyone starts laughing. Literally one of the most overused tropes in video history, whether it's films, TV shows, etc. A character explains a grand plan or ambition they have, or a character puts on a huge performance. Here it's a combination of the two, and at the end everyone laughs at them.
Charlie sings because that's kind of part of her character. She's a spin on the Disney princess trope being in hell. She's a very optimistic, bright side looking type of character who just wants everything to work out in the end. Before her interview, she constantly talks about wanting to sing and such, which her girlfriend knows is a very bad idea and most likely won't work. I won't say when she gets laughed at it isn't a cliche, but we were told it was coming through her girlfriend. I personally thought it was more a wake-up call for Charlie, to let her know that singing a song and saying everything's gonna be alright isn't really gonna work for the citizens of hell. It's more of like an eye-opener moment for her rather than just being a cheap joke for us.
Charlie explains that this guy is actually the first patron of the Hazbin Hotel, and we learn that his name is Angel Dust. Remember him from the beginning of the episode? And as Charlie